What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome back to the Inside Wisconsin show here on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Trevor Thomas, John Anderson, J.A. somewhere. Wes Hodquist is like, what? Now a guy gets to come on twice in less than a year and a half? Like, I thought I was the only person that got to do that. No. Pete Lee on the show today.
Or Wildy's going to be the guy that's really upset, right? Is that he's like, I need to get back already. So, by the way, if you're watching, Jason, I hope your stuff got back. I sent him some things that might not have been the right size, and now hopefully got that squared away. But listen, you got to, like, we've had a couple of people on here more than once, but all of them, I think, like, you know how you have superstars that are one name guys, right? Like you had, whether it was Ali or Kobe or LeBron, we know who they are right away. You can't just say like Phyllis, So I think these guys, like, though they're not one names, I think they are certainly two show worthy guys.
Yeah.
And Pete Lee, exceptionally, because the first time here was this wonderful comedian from Wisconsin, and now here's just this, excuse me, wonderful human being who's gone through some things that were just horrible, with his home burning down in the Palisades fire, but willing to come on, kind of share that with us, which is really, I hope, people listen through all of it, because it's really an amazing story. And then I'm pretty sure he's got a podcast that you're going to want to find out about as well.
I wonder if it comes up. Let's see. Pete Lee on the Inside Wisconsin show.
The Inside Wisconsin show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Amplify Health, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. J.A., when I was in New York with Pete, I was like, dude, ever since you came on our show, your career has just exploded. I mean, congratulations. Unbelievable. Pete Lee. What's up, man?
Oh, my God. My career is exploding, and so did my house. And oh, man. It's so good. It's so good to be here, man. It's so good to be here with you guys. I love coming on your show. Since coming on the show, we've become like real life all friends, and Trevor's come to a couple shows. We've gone to some Packer games. John, we went to the Packer game in your seats, and that was fun. We had pocket beers. I gave pocket beers to your wife.
Yep, that was exciting. So how do we build this episode? Do we like Pete Lee 2.0 or Pete Lee the sequel, volume 2, the next one? Is there a good way to build this?
I think Pete Lee fire emojis. I don't know. I'm just being funny. I'm being a goose.
So literally, I think I said the last time on. I hear every comedian at some point comedy starts at home.
Yeah,
right? And I think that means like with their parents. But like, how does comedy start when you have no home?
Yeah, when your house burns down, where does comedy start? Honestly, like I've referenced it twice for the people that don't know. I am sitting in a place that I live right now. I'm sitting in my new apartment in New York City. My house burned down in LA in the Palisades fire. And for the people that are watching that are real sensitive about it, I've learned that I just got to give people a minute. I go on stage now and I'll talk about my house burning down, and then people get more sensitive about it than I am, basically. And I need to understand that, like, I'll go, hey, my house burned down, and that touches them. But I let people know, I have a bit that I do where I go, you guys probably go, oh, it's too soon to joke about your house burning down. But I'm like, if you're in a community, you can joke about that community, right? Like if you're Polish, you can tell Polak jokes. If you're Norwegian, you can be like, you can always tell a Norwegian, but you can't tell them much, right? And then I go, and that is the end of the examples that I'm comfortable giving. Nobody wants me to give a third one ethnically, but yeah. So I've been joking around about my house burning down, and if people want to joke around about it, they can. I don't know. I love it, but now it's crazy. I went from a house on the ocean to now I live in a studio apartment in Manhattan. And same as my mortgage.
Yeah, at least, for sure. So when you said that, though, because I watched the reaction to the fires in general,
Mm-hmm.
And you say, people say this and they're touched. I'm not so sure which of these is more shocking. So I'd love your opinion. Have you been more surprised by the empathy of some people or the absolute lack of empathy by other people? They're like, well, they live in California. This is the risk they take and they make money. And like, I'm shocked by both of these.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm shocked by it sometimes because I've had people that they come up to me and after the show at my meet and greet, and they're like, yeah, your house burned down, but I don't care. And I'm always like, well, that's cool, but you don't have to say it. Like that's
yeah.
But I also am a believer in that we don't have to personally invest our hearts in every tragedy that happens. And I think that there's something in our society that's happening right now where every terrible thing, every flood, every shooting, every whatever, we almost feel obligated to have our hearts go out. And for a while, I think this has died down a little bit, but a lot of people felt like they had to make their own personal statement online about the tragedy that happened. Like we all have our own channels now, and we're all our own media people. And I'm happy that that's starting to die down, where people realize that they don't have to participate in every single tragedy. So it doesn't bother me when people don't care, but the whole idea of like, well, these were all rich people and whatnot. It wasn't all rich people. By the way, it was a lot of rich people. And I'll joke around with that. I had to go to get back into the neighborhood, and I can send you some pictures of me like standing in my burned down house and stuff like that. But to even get a pass to get back into the neighborhood, we had to sit in this car line. Me and my neighbor Daryl, we sat in this car line, and you should have seen the line of cars. And they had people walking the line of cars, giving out food and water, because these are people that suffered a tragedy. But and these are like displaced people, but they're also Palisades refugees. So it was like Tesla, Bentley, Rolls, Tesla, Beamer. And so it was a lot of rich people being given meals and water. And they were like, do you have any Grey Poupon? so there is some truth to people's criticism.
Evian, I can't be drinking Poland Springs.
Oh, yes. Is this alkaline water? Is this from the grocery store Erewhon? Because I only eat organic food. It was really an interesting group of displaced people. Like pretty much everyone that left, like when they left, they took their nicest car with them and they let the other one burn. And so everyone was in their classiest vehicles. But that being said, personally, I don't necessarily have the means, or like I'm not as rich as those people are. And I lost a lot of money, and I lost a lot of my nest egg, and a lot of investment, and a lot of property, and so I'm starting over with not a lot of stuff. But that being said, I grew up in Wisconsin, the son of a Red Lobster waitress, and so for me, an amount of money that I feel comfortable with is an amount that would cause other people to panic if they looked in their bank account. So I've not allowed anybody to do a GoFundMe because I feel like I'm rich. And I was able to find this apartment in New York City right away. And I have a home, and I've been selling out my tour dates on the road. So the money coming in is great. And I'm like, you know what? I lost money, but I'll make money again. But I'm certainly not rich, by any means. But I don't know. So if you want to come out to my shows in Appleton, please come out, buy a T-shirt. I've been making jokes about when I do my T-shirt pitch. I'm like every dollar goes to rebuilding.
April 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 5 shows total.
Yep.
Skyline Comedy Club in Appleton, Wisconsin. I love whenever you put the link on your story, right, on Instagram, smush it. Smush the link.
And by the way, I have stuff that I'm going to put on my podcast background here. So yeah, I'm gonna be up in Appleton, right around there. So this Wisconsin's going to go up, and I got to make sure, because how sometimes the camera flips it and stuff. I need to make sure that it's Wisconsin and not Michigan. So
yeah, that's valid.
That's very valid. I also, for my podcast background, I have my cue card from. I had to go do the Tonight Show the day after my house burned down, and so I'm going to put that up there because that means a lot to me. And then I'll spoil the name of the podcast. The podcast is going to be called "Are You the Drama?" You know how I do the drama stories on stage, Trevor, and I've now started to not just ask the crowd what their drama is. I actually have the crowd vote whether or not the person that gave their drama is the drama or the other person is the drama. And it's really a fun time. I love it. So I'm going to do a podcast called Are You the Drama? And I'd love to have you guys on it. I'm springing this upon you right now because it's got to be Trevor is the drama. There's my Are you the drama? But it's backwards, right? Because this is mirrored.
No, you're good on our end, bud.
Oh, good. All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Are you the drama? Yeah.
Are you the drama?
Hold up the cue card again.
I'm the drama.
Yeah.
Okay, so you and Fallon are boys, but he needed a reminder of your name.
That's so funny.
Funny. Like he couldn't have gone like, Jimmy, just ad lib whether you think he's funny or not.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Like if he just went, if you went, hey Jimmy, can you please just intro Pete? Right now, if somebody was like, intro Jimmy Fallon, I'd be like, hey guys, please welcome to the show. The host of the Tonight Show, the very funny Jimmy Fallon.
You can do that on your own.
I would not need a cue card for that, but I think they more make these cue cards for us. Apparently there's one guy in New York City that makes these cue cards, and it's his handwriting for SNL. He used to do Letterman too, and so like all the old NBC guys, they love these cue cards, and Fallon and Seth Meyers both use these cue cards, and it's wild to me that, you know, like on SNL, they don't have a teleprompter or anything like that. They still use this kind of antiquated cue card system. But, you know, you've done a lot of teleprompter reading, and, you know, sometimes, I don't know, like the font on a teleprompter isn't always big enough for me. Like I like a big font teleprompter, and sometimes those prompters are tiny. Right. It's like a tiny little thing that's this big, and I'm like, how? I literally have 20/20 fighter pilot vision, and I'm like, how do you think people are reading this right now?
20/20
when the font is so big that they have to use a hyphen in the word "but," then it's like, okay, that's like you got to calm down. Also, by the way, that's a good lesson. I'm gonna have to show this to my students because I tell them if you have to use the word "very," then you're using the wrong word. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you have to put "very" in front of something instead of "very," why don't we just put the hilarious Pete Lee?
Oh yeah. Oh, you know what's funny is that he said hilarious for a long time, but he was using hilarious for too many comedians. And the booker of the Tonight Show told me that he's not going to say hilarious anymore. And I thought that was really funny that there was like a meeting. There was a meeting where they decided we're not saying hilarious anymore. We're going to say very funny. And
very funny with a chance of hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Forecast.
Yeah. Well, that's like, you know how like if something's orange juice, it can be called orange juice, but otherwise it has to be called orange drink, you know, like Sunny D. That's like very funny. Like having to say very funny instead of hilarious is like, okay, he's an orange drink. He's the orange drink of comedians.
Okay. Holy buckets. Pete, let's see if we can tell the story from the night before the Tonight Show. That was the day that your house was burning down. You just mentioned him, Michael, and you're up in your room watching this on your TV. Like you're finding out about all of this as you're literally in New York getting ready for the Tonight Show. And you had the most manifestation thing I've ever seen. Like, you're like, I'm going to sit down and actually do an interview. And we're like, no, you're not actually, but you did.
Yeah. And so your wife and Amanda were both in New York City.
That's like my wife. And
yeah. So do you not talk about it around here?
No, you said your wife and Amanda. I'm like, wait a minute.
I thought I said your wife Amanda. I don't know what's happening. I smell toast. No, your wife and Amanda. No, I know I'm saying it specifically, but your wife Amanda, you guys flew to New York City. Like you had been so kind, and you had taken me to Packers games, and you know so did John, but I didn't invite him. But that was a joke. But Oh no, it's quiet. Oh no, you're mad at me.
No,
I'm
I
not inviting
understand.
you.
Listen,
Okay, all right. But no, he's like, my wife was gracious enough to take your pocket beer. I don't know why you didn't invite me, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna invite them. So this is, and they bought tickets before the house burned down or whatever, and it was funny because the night that the house started burning, I was kind of okay, like because I was in shock. And then it really started to hit me in the night. And then the next day, Trevor and Amanda were like, "We're here. We want to hang out." And it was noon. It was an acceptable time for us to start hanging out. And I was like, "Yeah, guys, I didn't sleep very much last night. I'm gonna keep sleeping a little bit today." And like also like I'm emotionally just not ready to hang out. I was wrecked. I'd been crying and stuff. And they were like, "Whatever you need, man." And I was like, "Well, let's meet up at this time to go to the Comedy Cellar to have." And we basically had dinner and drinks with the booker of the Tonight Show. And all day I was napping and waking up, and I just kept writing these jokes. And the night before, I'd written some jokes about my house burning down. And it was like the only way that I could kind of cope with the idea that I'm losing everything. And my house burned over the course of 2 days too. So like it's just still burning, and I'm getting alerts from the neighborhood and the firemen and all that stuff, and it's just burning. And then it was also on CBS News. Like my house is literally on there. Like the cameraman. I said it on the Tonight Show. The guy was like, "Some people are learning that their home is burning right now by watching this broadcast," and then it was my house, and I was like, "I'm some people." But so I just kept I don't know, I kept just writing jokes, and then we got in the car to go to the cellar, me and Trevor and Amanda, and I was like, yeah, I just have a feeling that I need to work on these jokes tonight so that I can go on the Tonight Show. And I was like, I just feel like I'm gonna get a couch segment, and we were joking around about how like I am not being offered a couch segment. So we get to the cellar, and I sit down with Michael, the booker, and I run my set, and then I also run my house burning down jokes. And he was like, "Man, those are really funny." But he's like, "Just so you know, you're not going to sit down and panel tomorrow. Like there is no time for it." And he's like, "So you're kind of preparing for nothing." And I was okay with that, but I was like, I think I'm going to end up using these jokes on the show. So I kept working on them all night. I kept writing more jokes in the night. I kept writing more. And then I wake up the next day, and Michael calls my hotel room, and he's like, "Pete," he's like, "we need you to panel." He's like, "All of the guests backed out." And so it was Cameron Diaz, it was Jamie Foxx, and they backed out of the show because they were, I think they were too sad about all the houses burning. And then Gabriel Iglesias, who's kind of Mr. LA, we actually have the same manager. He was super sad about the fires. And then I don't think it would have been appropriate for him to go on and tell, or just even be funny on that day. Because, I mean, he sold out Dodger Stadium twice. And, he really is Mr. LA. So for him to just be jovial, it wouldn't have been appropriate. And so I'm the only guest that showed up. And so they were like, "Hey, we're going to pull up Willie Geist from the news, and then we're going to take you, and you can do a panel segment." So I told them all the jokes that I'd been writing, and they're like, "Okay, so here's kind of how we can do it where it's endearing." They're like, "Go up and don't even try to be funny at first, and just kind of tell the story about the house burning down. Let it be a bummer. Cry if you have to." And then, of course, I started doing that, but I was funny because if I'm in front of a crowd, I can't not be funny. And even at one point, I'm like, "Sorry, Jimmy, I'm being funny because I'm funny." But it wound up being touching nonetheless. And then he had me run all of my, all the jokes that I wrote for, about the fires and stuff, during that segment. And I had written them down, and I was doing them on stage. There was this protein bar box at Target. You can buy Think protein bars. So I took the cardboard from that, and I wrote my set list on a marker. And so I actually brought that same thing that I've been bringing on stage at the Cellar on to the Tonight Show. So I'm sitting on the Tonight Show couch with a Think protein bar cardboard piece of paper with Sharpie marker on it with, jokes about my house burning down and telling them to the Tonight Show crowd. And it was really funny. Jimmy and I joked about it during the break. He's like, "That's so funny that you did like an open mic essentially on the Tonight Show." And I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess this is normal. If coming on here the day after my house burned down is normal, then doing new jokes on the Tonight Show is normal too.
Honestly, and then you said to me, "Do you want this thing?" And I'm like, "Nah, Pete, I'm pretty sure you're gonna want to hold on to that." That was a pretty special moment, I think.
Oh yeah. I have it in my backpack. It's right over there. I wish I would have grabbed it so I could have held it up here, but people can just imagine it.
I got a picture.
Yeah,
So
I actually
sometimes
should put that in my safe. You know.
hopefully it's a fireproof safe. So people, like, at some point when people talk about tragedy, they go, yes, it's cathartic.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's too close to be cathartic. You're almost still numb. Like, when you go back and look at that now, how do you see that? Or when you retell that story, you know, how do you view it?
It's interesting because it felt that Tonight Show felt like I would, because there are the stages of grief, right? And the first one is denial. And so I was in denial and I was in shock for a little while, and then there's acceptance, there's whatever, sadness, and I don't know what the other ones are, but I had already gotten to the point where I was crying and feeling a lot about it. And so going on the Tonight Show and telling those jokes almost felt like the funeral where you give the eulogy in a way,
Mhm.
and it was a really weird place to eulogize my home. But that to me made me go, well, if I can do that, I can keep going out and doing stand up, and I don't need to take a break, because my whole team, at CA and Arson House, they were like, "Hey, Pete, take a break. Like, you just slow down and take a break." And I was like, "No, I think I need to not take a break. I need to get out there." And I was on the road, the weekend after that, and I still haven't stopped doing shows. And I'm glad that I didn't stop doing shows, and I didn't stop doing spots at the Cellar. I essentially just moved here right away, because when you have nothing, it's the easiest move to New York City. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to get an apartment in New York. I'm just going to stay in New York. And New York is also a good place to be, because, like, I've gone to LA twice, and when you say your house burned down, people go, oh, and that's really sweet. And they're feeling empathy. But I need to be in New York where people are like, "Oh, you're the dumb house burned down guy." That I can deal with that energy way easier than and so yeah, I've been doing Cellar sets every night, but there was a point in time where, like, the Cellar table is historically, where, like, Patrice O'Neill and Jim Norton and Rich Voss and Keith Robinson, they would just destroy anybody. It's the table of roasting, and there were times where I'd be sitting at the table with Rich Voss and Robert Kelly and Keith Robinson, and I'd be like, all right, I got to get up and take a walk outside. And they'd be like, "Oh, you're going to cry again?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to cry." And so I just kept doing stuff. I kept doing the things that I was going to do, but I would just kind of cry when I needed to. I said, like, we were joking around at the Cellar table that my eyes were like Hawaii. Like, it rained at least once a day, and then it was sunny the rest of the time. And I was happy that I didn't just stay home and be afraid of going to the Comedy Cellar and having the most vicious junkyard dogs eat me alive. But like they those guys all thought that it was really strong. They're like, "Dude, Pete's not a wimp. Like, he just shows up, and when he needs to cry, he takes a walk around the block." And by the way, if you've ever lived in New York City, you see at least one crying person on the sidewalk a day, so it's not that weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then eventually it kind of subsided, and I drank way too much whiskey for a while. I was, oh my God, I was like the town drunk, homeless drunk for a while, and I got up to 250 pounds. I was just drinking and eating, and now so people are like, "Oh, so you're not drinking now?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm drinking." I literally just cut out drinking before shows and during shows. I was up to 250, and I'm now down to 226. So you guys, I've lost 24 pounds just from not drinking before shows and during shows.
As a Wisconsinite, honestly, as a Wisconsin person, I don't know if I'm proud of you or if I'm a little disappointed.
You're a little disappointed. Yeah. You're supposed to be gaining weight. That's what's supposed to be happening. Yeah. Wisconsin's the only place where somebody will be like, yeah, man, I quit drinking booze. And then they crack a beer and they're like, oh, I still drink beer though. And beer's fine.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's plus on top of that, it's a light beer.
Yeah.
At what point, I don't know if you have, especially if you go back and you look at that, right? Because there's nothing there. Like, at what point have you taken inventory of like, I don't have that, or have you gone to look for something because it's supposed to be there and it's not there?
Yeah, it happens every day where I'm like, oh well, I'll just go get that thing. And there's this really great comedian from Minneapolis that has this bit about the power going out, and he goes, have you ever had his name's Dave Mordahl. He goes, have you ever? This is me doing an impression of his bit. He's like, have you ever had the power go out? And it just makes you feel like the dumbest person on earth. You're like, oh, the power's out. Well, I'll just turn on a light, and then you use the light switch. And he's like, oh, man, the lights are out. Well, you know what I'll do? I'll just make some soup. I'll use the light from the microwave. And he's like, dang, the power's out. And that's how I've been with stuff. And I had this gal come out to my show in Phoenix that she actually, she works for the Red Cross, and she does therapy for people who have fire trauma. Apparently fire trauma is a specific thing. And I don't mean to sound cuckoo, but since the fire and a few other things in my life, I've been going to therapy now once or twice a week, and with a great psychiatrist. And so I've been working through this, and my psychiatrist really understands fire trauma. Well, the thing I heard from my psychiatrist and from the Red Cross lady is that a very common thing for people who either have flood damage in their house or fire damage where they lose everything is that they live very minimally for like at least 2 months. And so for like 2 months, I was living out of whatever was in my carry-on suitcase. So I had like 5 pairs of underwear and 5 pairs of socks, and then I would do laundry midweek. And I was like, I don't need anything else. And it's this weird biological thing where you go like, I lost everything, but like to prove that I'm okay, I don't need anything else. Like I'm okay just like with the clothes on my back and whatever's in that suitcase. But I was gaining weight, dude, and I was getting fat, and it was hard to sit down in those pants. Those were sitting pants when my house burned down, and they were not sitting pants. They were standing room only. And by the way, if you're ever at a bar and you say to a man, hey man, do you want my seat? And he goes, I prefer standing. Dude, he's not in standing pants, or he's not in sitting pants, or he has hemorrhoids. I don't know, But so I finally went out and I started buying stuff, and then like even designing this podcast background for this apartment. This is a furnished apartment, but I don't really like a lot of the stuff in it. So I've been disassembling a lot of it, flat packing it in one of the closets. Because dude, I have like crazy closet room in this place, and I have nothing. Like I remember I made a to-do list. I was like, unpack your stuff. And then I was like, unpack from your move. And then I put 4 t-shirts away and 4 pairs of socks and 4 pairs of underwear. And then I put an X through the to-do list. I was like, oh, you unpacked from a move.
Oh, wow.
But so it's a really weird thing where where when you lose everything, you psychologically, you don't get new stuff for a while. But right now, if I could show you the rest of this place, I don't really want to. There's boxes all over the place. And every night I go out and I do shows. And then for like 2 or 3 hours, I assemble furniture and I get this place ready. And I'm hoping probably by Wednesday, I'm going to be fully like moved in and settled in with a comfy place and a full podcast background and, and all that kind of stuff. But in the weirdest way, I had a 3-bedroom, 1 office house on the ocean and a Tesla. And now I have no car, and I'm living in a cute studio in Manhattan. And I'm happy as a clam. I feel good. I really do.
You should be. You're killing it, even though you're going through all of that. More about how you're killing it when we come back from this break. Pete Lee, the very funny Pete Lee, on the Inside Wisconsin Show.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Amplify Health, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. So Brewers opening day will be here before we know it. And I'm curious because like spring in Wisconsin's either, oh my gosh, it's 80 or, oh my gosh, it's 30 and anywhere in between. Right. There's no amount of temperature change, water, snow that will keep me from drinking Miller Lite in the AmFam Field parking lot on Brewers opening day. None.
I was just going to say, like, who cares what the temperature is? There is, you can have 4 seasons, right? You can have summer, fall, winter, spring, or we can go, it's baseball season and the temperature matters to me not at all. It is baseball season, which is the height to me of beer drinking season. That to me is right. You can get one over at Lambeau Field and it's great. But a Miller Lite in front of a baseball game that is quintessential, right? So it is to me, it is, you go to Phoenix, right? And they have high season, winter, then they have the shoulder seasons, right? So to me, those are all shoulder seasons. Now we're in baseball season. Now we're in the season. We're in Miller Lite beer drinking season. Let's go. Season. I must be in the front row.
Right. I used my little Weber grill the other day for making some things at home. And one of the neighbors was like, what, don't you have like a regular size grill? I'm like, oh yeah, I do. I'm just getting this warmed up for Miller Park, AmFam Field. The Brewer season is here and it is officially Miller Lite season.
How big a grill is it? How big should you travel with? At what point is it a little too excessive?
I'm not the right person to ask about that.
For you, like a little smoky kind of guy? It's got to be better than a little hibachi, but I don't know. You go to some football games, you go to college tailgates in the South here, right? Guys it looks like, wait, did you pull a trailer? And like, no, we're just smoking a hog when it comes through. So
I have one of those Blackstones. We've talked about this, and I know how to break down my Blackstone enough to put it in the car so that we can make like a Sunday nooner game. Okay. I'm out there cooking breakfast, having a Miller Lite.
Sure. Yeah. Hard to make an egg on a grill, but you got that.
Weird. Made it about food again. Look at me. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Inside Wisconsin to find purchase options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
I just want to know, you always put in that caveat, it's available almost everywhere they sell beer.
Yeah.
Like what place doesn't? I want to find the one place that doesn't carry Miller Lite. When you say, most everywhere, like, okay, I just want to find the everywhere just once. Because I feel like you want to talk about a needle in a haystack.
That would be something.
Yeah. Maybe I'll make that my thing. And then, by the way, I'm going to ask them what the hell's wrong with them. Now that we found you, what the hell are you people thinking?
Get it together.
Here, let me tell you how we can increase your sales 23% overnight.
Right. Time for another top 5 list here on the Inside Wisconsin show, presented as always by our friends at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. Their renowned engineering and STEM programs offer a cutting-edge environment with over 60 majors to choose from and exciting clubs and organizations. Always fun happening on campus. Discover why UW-Platteville is a smart investment. Apply now at uwplatt.edu. UW-Platteville.
Yeah.
UWP, right? You guys do the MIZZOU thing. Like UW was Whitewater. UW-Platt, I'm sure, is theirs. There's got to be others. Bucky.
Okay.
Yep,
whatever the point is on that. So it is
30
the top
seconds
5
in my
list,
head.
huh?
That's what that is right there.
There you go. All right. So we're doing the top 5 list. This is another one where we people don't realize how hotly we debate what should be top 5 lists. Right? You always want to make it food, and and I'm like, what can we not make food? When we come through with that. So, but we were discussing, like getting settled here and what's different and what's crazy is right. I essentially left home at 18, and I'd come back for summers, And even 2 of those summers, I ended up back down here, one for school and one kind of for school, Mom. So I can play golf with my buddies. But I did take a class. And so I guess, but there are certain things that I will come down here. They're always kind of different that will always make me know that, yes, while I'm settled here, I will never be completely at home, if that makes sense, right? There will always be a little obscure. So the first one of these top 5 would just be, these people love the Cardinals a lot. And as you know, back home, they don't love the Cardinals much at all.
No.
And I admit to being a Cardinal fan when I was here because they were in the National League, the Brewers were in the American League. But I came down here in the fall of '83 when the Cardinals were the reigning World Series champs because they had beaten the Brewers. So that's always strange. And then you got another team across the other side of the state. We got the Royals. So that's just odd that, right? Like you can have a state and people would root for 2 different sides, right? We're all lockstep, right? Give me the Brewers, give me the Bucks, give me the Packers. Like here it is. So it's strange to be amongst a divided fanship, and then on top of that, one of those being the Cardinals.
I've been to St. Louis one time, and it happened to be on opening day for the Cardinals that got rained out, and therefore they were playing it the next day because we knew we weren't going to be there for a game.
Yeah.
And I stepped out of the taxi at the Hilton right next to Busch Gardens or whatever. I don't even know what the hell their stadium is called.
Busch Gardens in Tampa, but I got you.
Yeah, fine. It was Cardinals Cubs, and I was in the middle of hell. I was like, oh my God, this is awful.
But honestly, in that regard, you'd love the Cardinal fan because their dislike for the Cubs is great. It's palatable. Good. Like that falls right in line. So if you were there, you'd go, okay, I'm not totally, but you'd go like, you know what? I can set myself aside for today. I'll be with the people in red because they're clearly on the right side of the Lord's.
Good.
They're on the Lord's side on this. Yeah, so you would go there. Number 4 is the big body of water here is the Lake of the Ozarks. Okay, it's the Lake of the Ozarks. So we think of the lake as like we got Great Lakes, right? These are things that were made by glaciers, These are so the Lake of the Ozarks is the big thing, and it's just a man-made reservoir. They just dammed it up, and then they just flooded a bunch of towns that they were kind of small. They moved people out, but people go to the lake all the time. Like you got to go to the lake, and even if you drive through, you're at never point where you're like, where's the lake? Because you can always kind of see over. It's really kind of this reservoir. It's more of a channel. You got some, like you could see across it, right? That's always my thing. It's a big body of water. If you can't see the other side, then like you go up to Door County, look at the thumb, right, and you can kind of see Marinette from Door County, and even that you're like, so it's just this thing that sometimes we call the Dragon Lake because it just makes this kind of S. And at no point you go, wow, that's a giant body of water. You're just like, okay, but it's got a lot of T-shirt shops and people come to drive their boat on it and they love the Lake of the Ozarks, but it's just, okay, cool. You dammed up a river and you made yourself a pond. But it ain't a Great Lake. So that's always very odd. The other thing I'll never get down, especially here, they love Dan Devine here. I don't know if you knew that. Dan Devine is a legend. Dan Devine won, still the winningest coach in terms of win percentage. So he was great. And then he was hired from here to go to the Packers. So the Packers hired Dan. So he's a legend here. And that still just never quite sits right with me that people talking about the great Dan Devine and, he played for Coach Devine. And, it's like, okay, that's not how I hear the story. If you'll go to Green Bay, you are going to get a whole different view of Dan Devine. Kind of funny. Like if it wasn't that you're literally talking about things that, seem like they might as well been with the Mayflower.
Didn't I tell you that's the same thing? I had the same thing happen to me with Brian Braum. I was hanging out with him in Louisville, and that guy is a king down there. Right? Not so much here.
Runs the town here. Yeah. But at least he didn't ruin the franchise. He just didn't make it here, Yeah. So that's kind of a whole different animal. But like I said, if it wasn't that he, the way kids and students are right now, it might as well be that he crossed the Delaware with George Washington. It would be interesting to go see what they think of Dan Devine here, and then go up in Green Bay and say, what do you guys know about it? And see what kind of response you get from those people, because it'll be 2 different things. The other thing you'll never shake down here is church. Listen, we're kind of in the belt buckle, but you go up in Green Bay And as I've often said, so we went to the Bethel Baptist Church, right, which is over on the east side by Schrader's. There are not a lot of Baptist church in Green Bay. But if you open the phone book and look for a Catholic church, we got about every saint taken care of a couple of times, right? Plus her holy divinity and all these things. I can remember coming down here and I thought, okay, I'm going to find a place to go to church. And I opened up, the student resources. And there's a billion Baptist church, and the only Catholic church you really can find is like the Newman Center on campus, right? You're like Catholic church, one. In the Baptist, like, how do I pick one out? I don't even know. How do I do this?
One.
So that's very different. Is just the church here, and the final thing that was the most crazy thing to get used to, and I guess now we're okay because it is now on par. But I could never get used to the fact that the drinking age in Green Bay was 18 and the drinking age here was 21.
Yeah.
I drove 600 miles and suddenly I can't get a beer. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, you're not grandfathered in for that one. You're here,
Not
yes.
down here.
Down there?
Never was.
No.
And listen, they've got a pretty powerful lobby with the brewery and things. Now, they're no match for the Tavern League, right? The Tavern League is the heavyweight champ of the world. And over here, the folks that, represent the breweries, they might be a champ, but they're kind of like in the welterweight or the 148-pound class, right? Our people back home, that's Ali, Foreman, Frazier. Those guys are the giants that control the earth. Down here, we're definitely in the lower weight classes. So now it's 21 everywhere. But back in the day when these things were important, when you went to school and lived on a dry campus, and if they caught you and they'd go, what I don't understand, and I should have protested, like illegal search and seizure, they'd go, what's in the bag? What do you mean what's in the bag? I should have just said Chinese food, And they're like, let's look at it. If they found beer, they'd make you pour it out in front of them. That's horrible.
Bad.
Terrible.
They do that here too.
But I came back anyway.
I remember.
I came back anyway. All right.
Our first top 5 list of non-Wisconsin. It was very comparable. I like it.
It is a non-Wisconsin one, but all right. Tell me any one of those isn't a reason that we should be in Wisconsin.
All of them. Every last one of them.
Except for Dan Devine, maybe, but you like the baseball better. The lakes are way better. Church is easier. If you're the right denomination, you can drink. I always tell people, right? You know this. The drinking age is 18. Basically, it was like a horse. Do you have your full set of adult teeth? Come on in. Let's get you a tapper.
We're back the Inside Wisconsin show. Trevor John and Pete Lee of Janesville, Wisconsin fame, and now I guess the rest of the country for sure. You talked to us in the past when you were on last time about how Midwest comedy is like really funny for people that don't live in the Midwest, but you're coming back here to Appleton, April 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Does your Midwest comedy work as well in the Midwest or better or not as well?
It works. It's interesting because like the setups all change. Instead of going like, because when I go to like Boston or Long Island, New York, I'm like, hey, this is why I'm weird. And then it just changes to like, this is why we're weird. And you get some people, I mean, we've been to Packer games, right? And like you've seen some towny people in Wisconsin, and we all know it, but like and Wisconsin people have a sense of humor about themselves, and they know who they are and they know why that they are, and they're proud to be very Wisconsin. But there's also a subsection of Wisconsin that has no idea that they're different than any place else in the world. And those are the people that come up to me after the show and they're like, oh yeah, you really put on the accent up there and we don't talk like that. No, we don't. No. And I'm like, lady, I wish you could hear yourself. Like, and by the way, one time I was at the Packer game, and speaking of one of those towny gals, like, one of those Wisconsin towny gals that she's wearing a Packer sweatshirt, she's wearing big pants, and
I refer to them as the Sheboygan Cuties.
The Sheboygan Cuties. Yeah. There was this, I will say she was a very unathletic Sheboygan cutie. And I was at a Packers-Bears game, and Jay Cutler, one of the best, Jay Cutler threw so many touchdowns to Packers defensemen. Like Jay Cutler should be in the Packers Hall of Fame because he threw so many pick sixes. He was absolutely amazing. But Jay Cutler was on the 1 yard line, about to score a touchdown, and he throws a pick six for 101 yards. And he's just taken off the straps of his helmet, and he's walking back, and he's just rubbing his diabetes eyes. And he really was a great quarterback, but he had diabetes, and halfway through the game he ran out of energy. And I don't know if he wasn't doing his insulin or his blood sugar was low, or I have no idea. And by the way, I'm not attacking people with diabetes, because I'd be attacking all of Wisconsin. But
Right.
and by the way, I was probably pre-diabetic a month ago. But this Sheboygan cutie, we're in the front row of the rail, and we're on the Bears sideline, and Jay Cutler just is walking past us, and the most unathletic woman that I've ever seen, she leans over and goes, "Jay Cutler, you suck. You're the worst athlete I've ever seen in my life." And he just looks up at her, and there's a moment where he wanted to be like, "You dumb blah blah blah," and then he just saw how terrible she was and how rough her life must be, and he goes, "You're right." He goes, "I suck. I love you, ma'am." And he just kept walking. And I was like, "Oh man, I think I'm a fan of Jay Cutler."
Do you know one of the great things that epitomizes Jay Cutler's career? To your point. So forever, the Bears' all-time leading quarterback in yards was, oh my God, I can't believe it escapes me, because he played like Johnny Lujak. I think it was that old.
Mm-hmm.
So he finally completes the pass, and for the longest time, Walter Payton had more rushing yards than the quarterback ever had throwing yards. So he breaks the record. They celebrate. Here's the ball. Jay Cutler, Bears' all-time leading passer. Next pass, pick six. Like that is Jay Cutler. That is Jay Cutler's career. He literally breaks the record. Next throw, gone. So 2 balls in a row taken out of play.
Oh my God. I mean, he really took a pounding, man. Like he was their quarterback for longer than I've ever seen anybody be their quarterback. And they just constantly would not have an offensive line, or even if they would try to build an offensive line for him. Just everybody would blow a knee or hurt an Achilles, and then he would basically be stuck with like three backup kickers guarding him on the offensive line, like 370-pound guys that were just getting trampled. And he was just he was getting smeared every single game. And so hats off to him. I don't know.
Look at how bad Trevor feels for all of this. None. Not at all.
Achilles.
Like, good, and I hope somebody kicked his dog too when they got home. Like, he's just...
Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to trigger you by bringing up the Achilles.
Oh no, you're good. I'm over it.
No, I just meant that his sympathy for Jay Cutler is like, forget it. That's fine. He's like, he feels bad for none of this. You know?
That's funny. Yeah, he's like,
I don't know. It might have been his wife. It might have been this woman Amanda that yelled at him. I don't know who it was.
So Pete, what's next for you, right? You're still touring, and it's not the Snuggle Storm anymore. It's the I'm Ready to Connect or Ready to Connect tour, which is totally you.
Yeah.
How
Ready to Connect.
I was going to say, how have you noticed things have changed for you, I guess? Because you and I both looked at each other in New York and went, whoa, like this is a really big moment for my career. So what has it been like now?
The weirdest thing is that, since the Tonight Show thing got 50 million views online. And so I feel guilty that my house burning down was probably one of the best things for my career, because, my social media numbers have gone up. My shows are selling out. The weirdest thing is that random people come up to me and they have a lot of empathy, and they always do the upper arm squeeze, when people kind of grab you here, and when they do that and they're being kind, but you're just locked in, there's nowhere to go. And they come up to me in airports and they grab and they squeeze and they go, "I'm so sorry about your home." And keep in mind, I don't know any of these people, and I don't know them. And they haven't even gone, "Hey, Pete, I know your comedy. I'm a fan." So you walk up and there's just like a really nice old lady touching you. And she's got you by the upper arms. And she's going, "I'm so sorry about your home." And you realize that you just left the Panda Express, and in one arm you have your lo mein noodles that you're hopefully going to infect the first class of a plane with, with the smell of it. And then you're just thinking about getting to your gate on time, and then there's a lady that's like, "I'm so sorry about your home," and all of a sudden I'm in a funeral procession line where I'm shaking it. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you for the soup. Thank you for the crock pot. I appreciate the flowers, and I do appreciate that, and I appreciate all of people's kindness and their sympathy and coming to shows and all that stuff. But yeah, pretty much, if that's the worst thing that's happening from my house burning down is other people are showing me kindness, then I'm doing pretty well. And I'm feeling pretty good about it. And people keep coming out to see me on tour. You can see my tour dates at peatlee.net. Please buy tickets. Follow me on Instagram, Peatlee. Keep liking and sharing the videos. And I'm starting the podcast, the Are You the Drama podcast, so people are going to be able to listen to that soon, and check that out. But yeah, it's interesting. And at this point in entertainment, everybody goes, "What's next?" And I'm like, I think what's next is just kind of what's going on. I'm going to keep releasing videos and keep getting views. And the next thing, I guess, is the podcast, so that people can hear me a little bit more like this than just in the stand-up style. And then I'm going to start doing man on the street stuff too, because now that I live in New York and there's so many just freaks walking about, I'm going to do man on the street stuff. It's going to be called Pete on the Street. So I'm going to do those segments every week too. But yeah,
you mentioned that you're naturally, like, you just are prone to funny, like you can't just turn off the funny switch.
Yeah.
How in those spots do you resist the temptation to say to this woman, "You should try it"? Or there's some, like, because I feel like there's comedy rich right there that you could mine that every time somebody does that. Because at some point you've heard, like you said, you've heard it so many times. I just feel like at some point you would not explode in a bad way, but you just finally just go like, okay, I'm just going to start mocking these people. You should try it. Or don't feel bad. My insurance policy was 3 times what it was. I don't know.
Saying something funny or just it was all right, I'm gonna say something. Somebody was really kind to me the other day, and I'm not gonna make a joke about the thing, but I was stunned. So my meet and greet was so long at this casino that I had to go straight from the meet and greet to on stage for the second set. And the very end of the meet and greet, there was a woman who she was very high functioning, but she had Down syndrome, and she was so kind. She wrote me this card, and she was like, "I feel so bad for you that you went through the fire." And she gave me this card that had multiple gift cards, like Macy's, Home Depot, just like a Visa cash card. And so I told that on stage, and this lady goes, "You can't say that. You can't joke around about people that have Down syndrome." And I go, I don't know if you heard what I said, but I'm like literally telling you that I'm emotional because, this woman, this woman who's already struggling or not struggling. I don't know if she's struggling. She seemed pretty dang happy to me. She, even though she's dealing with her own subset of things, was so kind to me and gave me, and I brought the card out on stage and I showed the people, and I was like, man, how dumb is our society now that we can't even just talk about something like that and have it be touching without it being, without it being whatever. And then that lady persisted in the crowd, and she goes, "No, you can't joke around about it." And so in my head, I was like, well, now I'm going to joke around about it. And I go, yeah. And then, I go after the meet and greet, the lady DM'd me, which she did DM me. And she said, "Hey, I hope you enjoy the card. If you can, let me know, what you bought with it. And I'd love to just know how I helped you." And I go, so now I have her in my DMs, and I got to decide, like, are we going to hook up? And, and the crowd went nuts, because finally I made a joke about it. And then finally I made a joke about it, and but it was after already arguing with this woman that it's not offensive just to speak about a group of people, and right. But yeah, they're such dummies nowadays. Everybody wants to be hurt on behalf of another group of people, and it was absolutely, so sweet and kind that this person did that for me. And and by the way, I want to make sure that it's not confused. There were two people that brought me cards and gave me gift cards this last weekend, and I want to let the other lady know that I don't think that she had Down syndrome. That's a weird thing that I'm going to say. I know that the one lady had it and the other lady didn't. And so I hope that's not inappropriate to say, but that's just
to clear the air.
I wanted
Making
to clear
a distinction.
I wanted to clear the air. And then also I'm specifically talking about when I was at Comics Mohegan Sun, because the week before in Salt Lake City, there was another lady that did the same thing. And so, like, by the way, I'm stacking up gift cards, but I just don't want I just don't want multiple people to go, what? Like, okay.
So, but the Mohegan Sun. So now you're making fun of Connecticut people. Thanks a lot. So you're just
exactly. Now you're triggered. Yeah, you're. What do you got against New England? What do you got against I-95 adjacent people?
Right.
Jeez.
All
right. One more quick one before
Tom Brady, and that's impossible.
Before we take a break, Pete, I'm curious to know where your signature move on stage came from. You just had that glass, and if you had a mic in your hand, it would be a tink.
Yeah. So by the way, I drink my espresso out of these glasses, and then afterwards I pour water into it. It's kind of what I do every day. But I know I do. But like, let's use my chapstick. So if I'm on stage, and I'll be like, that was a good one, and I cheers myself. And I started doing that. Honestly, probably in like 2003, 2002. And I would just kind of do it every once in a while. And I remember I had this manager when I first moved to New York, and he's like, stop doing that. He goes, don't say that was a good one. Never acknowledge that something was good or bad. He's like, just do your jokes and whatever. So for years, I tried not to do it. And every once in a while, I'd be on the road and it'd just be like a Saturday Night Late Show. And I'd be like, that's a good one. And everybody would love it. And then I would kind of secretly do that without my old manager knowing that I did that. And that's kind of part of the rules of sort of the old guard of comedy of New York, is that they had all these rules that, they made up about what stand-up should be. And at this point, I think I'm at a point in my career where I can break those rules. So now when I'm on stage, I'll be like, that was a good one. And it's just a fun thing that I like allow myself to do. And it's kind of a unique thing, to cheers myself. But yeah, my logo for the Ready to Connect tour is like a microphone and then a whiskey glass splashing, the whiskey. And it's fun. I don't know. Like, I don't know why it gets a laugh, but it's fun to cheers yourself. And it's kind of a metaphor, like a physical metaphor for, just how, like, I'm a guy that my compass points to true north, and I have a lot of gratitude. And even if the crowd's not laughing, or if they are laughing, I'm going to acknowledge it and be like, hey, that was a good one. Because comedians, back in the day, they weren't even supposed to smile or laugh at their own jokes. And I'm like, no, if I came up with a real good one on stage, or if I wrote a joke and it's real good, I'm gonna feel good about it, and I'm gonna tell the crowd about that.
It's awesome.
They're hard to come by, right? Like, let's be honest. Yeah. It's like hitting home runs.
Yeah, it's like, imagine there are times in baseball that, think about it, when somebody just like celebrates their home run, and then the pitcher is like, all right, well then I'm going to hit another one of your players. So you're not really supposed to showboat or celebrate in life, but I don't know, when else are you supposed to celebrate?
Amen. Amen. All right, we will wrap it up with funny man Pete Lee coming to the Skyline Comedy Club in Appleton, April 3rd, 4th, and 5th. More about that in the last segment with Pete, just 2 minutes, the Inside Wisconsin Show.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Amplify Health, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us.
I spent From the middle of 68 to the middle of 1969 in Vietnam, I was in the Field Artillery, the 4th Infantry Division. That's what this hat is from. And I was in the Central Highlands, close to the Cambodian border. What I'm about to tell you had a lasting impact on me. The airplane landed, and a soldier got on the airplane. And he said, "You're back in the United States. It's now 3 in the morning. By 6 in the morning, I don't want to see a single uniform in this airport." In other words, they had to take their uniforms off and get into civilian clothes. Nobody said thank you. Nobody welcomed back. There was no flags. There was nothing. Okay.
So our interest in putting back into the community and our interest with the Honor Flight really stems from a number of different areas. You know, most notably my father, who was a veteran and an inspiration to me. So the Stars and Stripe Honor Flight is so important to me because of really what it means to those veterans. This effort and the Stars and Stripe organization, Honor Flight, gives them the opportunity and the opportunity for us to tell them that it is okay, that it is possible, and that dream of theirs can come true by simply signing up.
I signed up for the Honor Flight, and my son was my guardian, was with me the whole way, and it changed my life. Changed my life. I came back a different man because of the way that we were treated. And everywhere we went, people said, "Thank you for your service, thank you for your service, thank you for your service."
Colonel Stone was a breath of fresh air, was again an inspiration to an affirmation to tell us that what we're doing means something. To hear him say that the flight that he took 2 years ago changed his life warmed our hearts. It gives us the fuel and the inspiration to continue to what we're going to do, not just a one-time event, but that we're going to do this annually to help make the opportunity available to all the veterans who want to go on the flight, who deserve to go on the flight and should be recognized.
The important thing is that Greg and his colleagues are supporting the Honor Flight.
We treat our customers like family. We care. We don't just sell the number that's on that quote. It's more than a quote. It's how can we help you protect your family, protect your dreams, and navigate the insurance world. At this stage in my career, to be able to take that success, give back to the community, do some things that make a difference in people's lives, I couldn't be happier and more grateful, number one, for the veterans, for all the veterans, and to all our customers who have helped to build this business to make this opportunity and this dream come true for so many veterans.
Listen, we don't need reasons to like make people angry at each other. That we're doing that pretty well as a place these days. Yeah. Boy, do people get bent out of shape about the NCAA tournament. Seriously.
In what way? In what way?
This team should be in. That team should be out. Yeah. Wisconsin doesn't get to play in Milwaukee. Why is Marquette a 7 seed? They had a great, just buy pizza and shut up and watch basketball. Okay?
Just let the basketball wash over you?
Seriously.
Even if you have a legit complaint, see what I did there?
Hello. Yeah, well, do they though? Are they legit complaints?
The ones that bother me are the ones that I'm never happy with the snubs. You're like, okay, so first off, if you watch any of the analysis, everybody deserves to be in. And then they're like, but you also, Digger Phelps will say, well, you got to have this in. Well, Digger, if you're going to put one or two teams in, you got to take people out. So who's that going to be? Well, I don't know, you can take out. Okay, well, you got to have 68. You can't have 70. By the way, if you're the 69th team, are you really going to win? You're the 69th team into the tournament? I get there's some seedings and small conference. So even if you're the 34th at-large team, come on. Just move on with it. But yeah, somebody's mad. West Virginia's governor's mad as heck. He could use a pizza. USC in the women's tournament, they're mad. They could use a pizza. Wisconsin's a little mad where they go. They could use a pizza. There are a lot of people that need pizza. Even people are mad they're not in the NIT. They could use a pizza.
Yeah,
you can sell more pizza to the disgruntled folks than the folks that are just going to watch the damn games.
Just sit down, put a pizza or 2 or 10 of these legit pizzas from Pep's Pizza Company, made and loved here in Wisconsin. I talked to a buddy today who should be traveling. By the way,
every time I see that in your hand, can I just interject? Every time I see that in your hand, I think, okay, that's a pizza that most people would eat. And I'm like, no, for Trevor, that appears to be a single serving size.
I'm trying to cut back, okay?
Well, look, I didn't know they had individual size pizzas. I also didn't know
12-inch.
Yeah, I didn't know that individual size pizza also come in size 16.
Okay,
16
one time
inches.
I ate a 16-inch one time. It's good. Legit pizza. Find it, put it in the oven, put it in the pizza oven, whatever. Just stop complaining about basketball and watch it and just enjoy this time of year with the legit pizza. There. Enough.
Right.
We solved the world's problems.
And then if don't get mad at the pizza, just tear up your bracket and say, okay, I don't know anything about basketball. That happens.
That's what I do.
Pump up the savings with Festival Foods Gas Rewards. How does it work? Simple. Grab your card in store. Register online. Get points for every grocery run. Then roll up to Quick Trip and watch the prices roll back. Festival Foods Gas Rewards.
All right, we're back to wrap it up with Pete, Lee, Trevor, and John. 2 for me. First one first. Dude, we had a blast at some Packer games this past year. And I'm curious, at what point do we need to take it to is there another level to take Packer games? Like, have you ever been in a suite? Or, I mean, what do we got to do? Because we're good at that.
I think we need to get on the field, and then the next level after that is playing a snap.
Right?
Like you know those like heartwarming games where like they let the guy that like he beat some kind of crazy disease, right? And then he gets to take one snap and they let him score the touchdown. I think we need to make up a story about me. I don't think the burn down house thing is good enough. I think it's got to be way worse than that. But I think we need to really take this up a notch. And by the way, you go, oh, Pete, well, you're always drinking and tailgating. If you get to do the Make-A-Wish Packer touchdown thing, are you going to hold off on drinking? No, I'm going to be so hammered that there are going to be people tackling me that aren't even there.
Skyline, April 3rd, 4th, and 5th. I've seen you going to be in Appleton. I've seen you in Madison, Milwaukee. You have another show lined up in Janesville. Do you make it a point to do shows back here at home, Pete, or is that just kind of how the circuit goes?
Yeah, I love doing shows in Wisconsin. You know what's funny is that every show that I go to, like like I was in Washington, D.C., I was in Salt Lake City, I was out in San Diego recently, and the wait staff goes, there's so many people from Wisconsin here. Everywhere that I go, people travel to my shows like it's a Packers away game. And there are people that go to multiple shows, like they'll go around the country. And it's so cool how the Wisconsin people are fans of Wisconsin stuff, and they will travel, but they will not travel within the state outside of their region to see one of my shows. So like I'll perform down in Janesville, and the people that would go to see the Madison show aren't coming down to Janesville. Wisconsin people will pack up the conversion van and drive all the way to Florida and go on vacation. But to see a show, they're like, that's too far of a buzz drive, and then we'd have to get a hotel room, And so the Janesville area people come to the Janesville show. The Madison people come to the Madison show. The Milwaukee people area come to the Milwaukee show. And now the Appleton, Green Bay, De Pere metro area people, they're going to come to the Appleton show. So the reason why I can do so many different shows in Wisconsin and it doesn't affect the other markets is because people will not travel within the state, but they will do a 22-hour drive across the country.
You need to get up to Marinette. Those people are a hoot, man. They're I don't know if you knew that. They're noted comedy aficionados.
Oh, I actually go up to the UP and I perform. I can't remember. It's Michigan Tech, and a lot of the northern Wisconsin people. Yeah, Houghton. I go up to Houghton every time I do that gig. I get snowed in. I get snowed in for 3 days, but I go up to Houghton, and all the northern Wisconsin people they'll make that drive. I think they snowmobile there is what I think they do.
And you only go in May, which is what makes it even stranger.
Yeah. Yeah, we go ice fishing on May 30th. It's Memorial Day ice fishing.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, so I didn't have bed because I didn't know where this was going to go, and I thought, well, we'll have some nonsense at the end if we need it. But I feel like I've got a couple here that I need to. First off, could you hold up the "Are You the Drama" sign again? Because I think if it's on 6 times, that I get something free from Festival Foods.
Dude,
so if you can show it, there we go. Okay, good. Perfect. Now I get 20% off because we've gotten to 6 showings of "Are You the Drama" sign.
Oh yeah, Festival Foods, you get 20% off. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we have time to get to 10 because then I get like a free rump roast, but that's okay. Who is the greatest living American?
Who is the greatest living American right now?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man. God.
I'll give you a hint. It's Tom Brady.
I'm scrolling through my head of people that if I said it, it wouldn't be offensive to them. Because isn't it crazy how anyone that you say now, you'd be like the guy that invented Advil, and then like your teenage nephew would be like, you don't know, that's a bad person. That person kicks dogs. And you'd be like, oh God, like you can't enjoy anything anymore. Greatest living American right now.
It's Tom Brady. It's Tom Brady.
Brady. I'll go Tom Brady. Yeah. I've recently become friends with Tony Hawk. I'm going to say he's a great guy.
He did the 900. That's crazy. So you said you've been out building. How good are you with an Allen wrench?
I'm very good with an Allen wrench. I actually did construction for a summer, and then people like I moisturize, right? So people don't think I'm good with a screwdriver because I can't grip it with all the Kiehl's lotion on my hand. But I actually am a very handy guy, and I love building stuff, and I got a full tool kit, and for the ladies listening, I got a tool belt. Talking to you, Cindy. That's what I'm talking. Wow. Shout out to Cindy.
I feel I sense the 2026 Pete Lee calendar coming out. That'll be great.
Oh my God, yeah.
So, give me the name of a comedian that I have not heard of, but we should know.
Oh man, there's a comedian in New York City named Caitlin Palufo, who is one of the funniest people. Like, she's one of the only people that when I follow that comedian, like it strikes fear into me that I'm just gonna bomb. That's how funny Caitlin Palufo is. She's out on tour. I've been singing her praises, and we were just down at the South by Southwest Festival. And my buddy Dan from Liquid Deathwater was there, and I'm sponsored by them. I'm like, Dan, you need to sign her. She's a powerhouse. Yeah.
Nice. So you were in LA, now you're in New York. So there's East Coast, West Coast rap battles. Are there East Coast, West Coast comedians?
Yeah, and it's weird because I'm both of them now. I still go back to LA once a month, and I do shows for 4 days, and it's funny, all the people there claim me, and they're like, oh, you're a West Coast comedian, and all the New York people are like, we know you really are a New York comedian. I would say, I don't know, I'm bi-coastal, whatever that is. I don't know. But yeah, I think
tell people you're bi, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm bi. I'm yeah. Yeah.
All are welcome here.
Yeah, all are welcome here. But I don't know, like, because I would say that I like doing comedy in New York City better. And right now, the crowds are currently a little hotter in New York City. The crowds in LA are a little bummed down. They're a little bummed out because they just went through the biggest tragedy that their city has ever gone through, and so you can imagine that the crowds are a little sullen. But so I'm going to go with New York. I'm going to kick you while you're down, LA. That's what I'm going to do.
As long as I got you under my boot heel, let me just twist. Which is a funnier joke setup? A tree stand or a duck blind?
Duck blind. Duck blind is a way funnier word. I will say that a joke setup people have to clearly know what it is. So in Wisconsin, I would say a duck blind, or in the Midwest, I'd say a duck blind. But if I was in New York or LA and I was like, so I was hunting and I was in a tree stand, I would have to say tree stand. And it would suck. It would kill me inside that I wouldn't be able to say duck blind, because these people wouldn't know. These savages wouldn't know what a duck blind is.
Plus, if you said it in Wisconsin, it'd have to be a tree stand, right? It's not. It's got.
Yeah.
You can't even say tree. You got to say,
Yeah.
like Two Rivers. You got to have a tree stand when you go there.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
think you'll ever sign a one-day contract and retire as a Packer?
Oh my God, that would be my absolute dream. I would love to do one of those one-day contract in sports. I got to throw out the first pitch at the Brewers game, and I'm hoping I get to do that again this summer. And I'm going to train for it again. Yeah, I'm going to train for it. And even when I just did that, I was like, I signed a one-day contract to pitch for the Brewers, and I threw out. I remember so they had 4 first pitches. I was the closer of the first pitches. I threw out the last first pitch, and but yeah, dude, anytime, it's so fun. Anytime that you can be in our business and intersect with athletes, and it's just so cool. That I was doing a show in Arizona, and Kurt Warner came out, and he came out with his family, and I got to say hi afterwards, and then now he and I, write each other messages, and I'm just like, that's so wild. But I guess Kurt Warner needs to see comedy too,
There you go. With proper planning, how many pocket beers can you have on your person?
Well, when I came out of the Packer game that night, I had at least 4, and I had room to spare because I had layers, I had layers upon layers upon layers.
Sure.
So I had so much. I would say you could leave with at least 8 to 10 pocket beers. If you have enough layers with jackets with pockets and they're 12-ounce cans, I could say you could do many pocket beers.
Strangest place you've ever been naked?
The airport. I know. Well, so I belong to the
taking the
Airlines.
TSA thing a little far, isn't it?
Yep, buddy. You're gonna make sure. You need to make sure that I'm not keystering anything that I'm not supposed to. Yeah. Oh, dude, it's wild. So the American Airlines Admirals Clubs, they have shower rooms, and so it's so funny that there are times where I'll be getting on a flight in Chicago, and I'll have a long layover, and I'm trying to get to my gig, and it's cutting it close, so I'll take a shower in the airport. And it's funny, I'm sitting down on the plane, and I'm like getting ready to take off, and I'm like, this is funny. Like, I was naked in O'Hare like 35 minutes ago. This is funny.
And there was a brief period of time where you had no pants on backstage at the Tonight Show, and I have photographic evidence of that.
Yes, you do. I had to have my pants hemmed, and I didn't have any time. Like, my house burned down, and I was like, I don't have time to get my pants hemmed, and I was gonna go buy new pants and have them hemmed. And Jimmy was like, "Oh, dude, why don't you just have them hemmed here?" And I, anytime you go to a tailor and you're like, "I need my pants hemmed," and they're like, "That's going to take 47 weeks to get those hemmed."
Yeah.
And the tailors have us convinced that it takes forever for them to put a bobbin in the sewing machine and hem your pants. And Jimmy was like, "Dude, it was 5 minutes later, my pants were back." They have the whole wardrobe crew that can do that stuff.
How much of a 60-minute football game does Trevor actually watch?
Honestly, I feel like the ones that I've watched with him, we've watched all of it. And I have a hard and fast rule that even if the team's losing, I don't leave early. I stay for the whole game. I love doing that. And Trevor stayed the whole game for both games. Haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I think what John's referencing is the constant back and forth to get more pocket beers. I'm not afraid to leave my seat. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I have the average amount of time Trevor actually watches the game is 17 minutes.
Totally valid.
Better player, Lucas Van Ness or Joe Thomas?
Oh man, I'm gonna say, Lucas Van Ness.
Lose. This is a lose for you.
Yeah. I'm like, this is a hard one.
More of a shot at Trevor. Finally, if you're playing golf,
you
get a foursome, right? And most people are like, who are the 4 people? I don't want this. It's you, a priest, and a rabbi. So who's the 4th one?
Oh, me, a priest, and a rabbi?
Yeah.
Oh, I would want somebody Muslim in there too, just to shake things up. And my favorite Muslim friend is Dave Chappelle. So I would go Dave Chappelle, a priest, a rabbi, me, and Dave Chappelle. That's who I would do.
That would be fantastic. I'd go see that. That'd be great. Yeah. By the way, when Trevor comes to watch you, does he leave the show a lot too, like it's a football game, or does he stick around for the whole thing?
Dude, Trevor's like 7'9", but he has a bladder the size of an Aquafina cap, and he just leaves the show constantly.
Yeah, I'm like, he goes, I went and saw Pete. He texted me right away. I went and saw Pete at the Tonight Show. It was unbelievable. He got a couch segment, and I'm like, how many times did you leave during that? Because that's a lot. Like, just what do they give you? What do they give you the stand-up time for that? When you
the set time for a stand-up is 4.5 minutes usually.
Yeah, he can't make it through that. He'd have to leave at least once.
Dude,
especially because they bring me the pocket beers. They brought me the beers. I didn't have to go get them. They just
hey,
I was Pete, like, good to see you.
Yeah. I was like, Trevor, you need to like food dehydrate yourself before the set so that you make it through.
Well, you're maybe not going to drink before or during, but I'm good.
Good luck with I forget the name of the podcast, but good luck with that.
Oh yeah. Everybody's forgetting the name of the podcast. It's called Are You the Drama?
That's right. Are You the Drama?
Are You the Drama? Oh, we're getting even brighter. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
April 3rd, 4th, and 5th. You can get tickets at PeteLee.net, right, Pete?
Yep, you can get tickets at Pete. Yep, right there. Is that it? Yep, nice. Appleton, Wisconsin.
He's like, hey, let's get Wisconsin. Let's get kindling in the shape of Wisconsin.
Dude, yeah. I can't believe I'm not buying more wicker to put around the place. Just even more flammable stuff. But you guys, this was an absolute treat. And now I'm gonna run to Brooklyn and be around some hipster cool kids.
We want you to do a whole lot more than just save money. We want your money to grow, just like your dreams. We want you to achieve financial well-being and the feelings that go along with that. Capital Credit Union, doing the right thing.
So I definitely have said very funny in the past. Is that not how that's supposed to go? You like you said, don't use the word very.
So I think the word very is a very, very, very bad word. And I think if you have to use very as a modifier, then there's a better word. Very funny is hilarious. Right?
Different word. Okay. All right.
Very, very dumb, idiotic. Very smart, intelligent. I just think if you have to use very, that there's a better word that you could use.
Very tall.
And I've drilled that into my kids here in the first 9 weeks. Like I said, you're going to leave here with a couple of things that you're going to know for sure, right? We're not going to bury the lead, blah, blah, blah. And every time you see the word very now, you're going to go, I bet there's a better word because I'm relentless about it. That's all. So, yeah.
Someday we'll do John's top 5 broadcasting no-nos, and I guarantee you I've done every single one of them in this podcast over the last 4 years. All of them.
Well, one of them would be don't insult Joe Thomas. So we know you've done that.
Okay. Oh, man. All right. You and I were talking off the air that we say words differently here. And I said the word boat. And it sounds different, but that drummed up a memory of the John, Wisconsin era. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, because I think everybody says boat. But I'm down here. I thought I'd told this, but you say you don't remember it. So we'll tell it again. And if it's okay, maybe we've grown such that most of the audience hasn't heard it. So I was down here. I was going to school here at the fine University of Missouri. I started at the University of Missouri. By the time I graduated, it was the University of Missouri. And I had a roommate by the name of Dave Jensen. Dave eventually did carpentry for Broadway shows and on Saturday Night Live. Dave was from Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Okay, so he came down here for J school, although he never kind of got through. He went a different route. So Dave and I were out one time, and we were at a party that was majority was J school people. And so for the longest time, if you met anybody at the University of Missouri that was not from Missouri, that pinged you right away, J school people, right? We've grown now that more people come, but that was the surefire way to tell that you're from. So there was a young woman who was from New York at this party, and we were sitting down and we were talking about it. And this, I guess, is especially with Pete being there, this feeds into the stereotype that New Yorkers know everything and they're New Yorkers. And if it's not, so we're talking and I say, I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin, blah, blah. And Dave says, well, I'm from Michigan. So really we're just on opposite sides of the lake. And she said, oh, I've heard of Lake Michigan. And she said, is that big enough to sail on? And my boy Dave, without missing a beat, looks at her and he goes, yes, but only 2 boats at a time, so you have to call ahead. So that's just every time now. I just can't help it. As I bounce around here in Michigan, I think of that. It's one of my all-time favorite stories, and it's one of my favorite comebacks because as long as I pause to let you think that over, it was not like that. Is that big enough to sail on? Oh, yeah, but, you got to call ahead, 2 boats at a time.
No wakes.
And so just when you think, well, New Yorkers, they come through for you and then, yeah. So, yeah. So, and I think most people in the Midwest know you can sail on Lake Michigan and you can get more than 2 boats at a time on it. So I didn't even bother to tell her about shipwrecks and everything else, but yeah. So I don't know how many more. I just know I know you can get at least 2 on there.
Yeah. You can sail on Lake Winnebago, I'm pretty sure. I think that's big enough.
Yeah, well, maybe a boat and a rowboat or something, some sort of a
boat,
a jet ski, but just absurd.
Go see Pete Lee at the Skyline Comedy Club in Appleton, Wisconsin, April 3rd, 4th.
Or at least if
5th.
You're within 60 miles, within 40, if you're within 35 miles, you should go.
What was that? I don't think he's crashing at my house this time.
We'll be going crazy and driving over there from La Crosse.
We got to get into La Crosse. That'd be great. All right, go see him. PeteLee.net. You can buy tickets there. Don't miss it. It's so worth it, Wisconsin. Let's go and support one of our own. All right, there is the kickoff, JA, of season 5. Wow, that's great.
You're kidding.
Yeah, season 5.
Wow.
And we're off and running. Let's see what NFL player I can piss off.
I thought I would give this 4 years when I was quitting, so I had no idea. So I will be tendering my resignation when we get off.
Okay. I'm going to rip it up. For John, I'm Trevor. As you were, Wisconsin. We'll see you.
Unacceptable.
Making stuff with Northwoods and Old Fashions and pull tabs, all that stuff on it. I mean, that's a dream come true for me. That's the goal, is to keep growing our community on the social media and then be able to stay local and sell clothes.
Farmers, brewers, hunters, packers, badgers, cheeseheads, neighbors. No matter what name we go by, we are bound together by our roots. These are the people, the stories, and the patriotism from inside Wisconsin. Welcome to Deeper Roots with Blaine's Farm and Fleet. You ever heard of Keeler, Wisconsin? Me neither, but we're here, almost in Dubuque, Iowa, but not over the border. We won't do it. Keeler, Wisconsin, Corey Kaiser, Wisconsin Clothing Company. Corey's got his mitts in just a couple 2-tree things, so we're going to cover a lot of ground today. Can we start here, Corey, on this episode of Deeper Roots with our friends at Blaine's Farm and Fleet? I think we drove by Kaiser Court and Corey Boulevard. Do you own Keeler? Where are we?
No, not by any means, but this is just an area that we're from. I'm a small town kid. Our family loves where we're from. We love the people in our town. We love our small community, and we would do anything to help progress it or make it even better.
You're quickly establishing your own Deep Roots. Maybe just tell us your story. How did all this start for you?
I graduated from Cuba City High School, went to Platteville, graduated in 2018 from there. My parents always had a business mindset, so I wanted to always be an entrepreneur. My mom, she did custom apparel for businesses, so when she retired, I kind of got my hands into that. And it actually started as the retail, as the 608. We did it just for our area code. And then as we kind of got a little more traction, we changed our name to Wisconsin Clothing Company so we could reach the whole state.
What are you aspiring to do with Wisconsin Clothing Company and your online content that you're creating?
I feel like social media, the way it's grown, I never want to be a business that is shoving what we do down your throat, so to speak, saying, buy our clothes, do this. I kind of want to create stuff that a community could like, create things that are relatable to people that are like me in Wisconsin, and then let our clothes kind of naturally sell themselves. I just see the bigger brands really taking advantage of small towners and all the people in these communities of Wisconsin where, it's hard to buy a sweatshirt for under $80 now. I've always said I'm never going to sell something to a family where I feel like they're breaking the bank for. So that's the ultimate goal.
What is it about Wisconsin clothing that you really like to design? I mean, I saw this shirt over here that says rippin' and sippin'.
Wisconsinites, just, there's a completely different vibe. And by the way, the most prideful people in the world. People in Wisconsin, the fact we love cheese, we love the Packers, Badgers, all the sports teams. We love going to a dive bar. Drinking is fun, and we kind of take that on as our name.
Our oldest son is in high school. I know about this thing called a fit check. Fit check. Let me try some of this stuff on. How about that?
Let's do it.
What is this? How's this fit? Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, cool.
Is this a 2X in a kid size?
No, it's 2X. Don't yell at my clothes.
This is.
You're also wearing 3 things underneath
Okay,
it.
I get it.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I could get you a bigger size.
I'm layered up.
Ripping and sipping.
We call these cardboard crack.
Cardboard crack? I just call them pull tabs. But like I said, I'm from Southwest Wisconsin. So once you get closer up, they got names for it.
I love that when you're sitting in a dive bar in Wisconsin and you start ripping these stupid things.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, like, you're doing it with a group of people, you're each into it for 60, 80 bucks. Do some math. Let's call it $240 and we hit the 250. No, you won 10 bucks.
See, our problem is we just don't know when to get out. We do it way too long. Oh, we won the 100. Oh, the 500's in there. Now they're 1,000. You can win $1,000 on a pull tab.
Dude, you have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you literally, it looks like you can either be about to be a lumberjack, cut down some wood, put it in the furnace, or you could be heading to happy hour with your buddies.
Happy hour.
Yeah.
Do that.
Kind of designed this one for the burly Wisconsin guy because we put a slit in the neck so people can not feel suffocated by a sweatshirt. Well, I mean, you got a beard.
Dude, I'm as burly as they get.
You're almost as tall as a tree, dude. It's called opening weekend hoodie. That's what you would wear on Friday night with all your buddies before you go deer hunting.
What is it about Corey that you want people to know that says, yeah, engage with us, buy our stuff?
I've always told people what you see is what you get. I'm not going to change who I am for anyone. I feel like there's too many people that get on camera and they change to who they are to try to make other people happy. I'm proud of who I am, where I'm from. So that's what people are going to see. But I have always been charismatic. I've always been a talker. Obviously, you guys are figuring that out real time. I've always felt like I could do some cool things on content creation and then just trying to tie that into a business.
We have this saying on Inside Wisconsin that is statriotism. And you seem to be quite the statriot yourself. What was it about Wisconsin that you really just fell in love with to be able to do all this?
I feel like there's just such a good blend of big city dreams versus small town feels. I feel like there's such a good vibe between all of it here. I like to think of myself as a nice person, always caring for other people. That is what Wisconsin's about.
Aspirations to grow outside of Keeler, or do you see that this is the roots in which you're gonna just continue to grow deep?
Now with the way the world works, you don't have to leave. It doesn't matter where you're headquartered. With the way social media works, you can reach anybody. You could have track prints, footprints in almost any town without being there. My goal is I'd love to be more in the retail space, whether that's us starting our own spots in other places of Wisconsin.
Do you watch the Inside Wisconsin show? Have you seen it?
I have, yep, I have.
So every episode we do a top 5 list. We ask each other questions, come up with our favorite top 5 this, top 5 that. I try to get John to fail at a quiz. He doesn't, ever. I get a little quiz. We'll see how big of a statriot you are.
Okay.
Here's a top 5 questions for Corey Kaiser. What year was Wisconsin founded?
I'm trying to think of the drinking, out drinking your state since 18. Oh my gosh, I might not know it. 1878?
Ooh, close. 30 years off. 1840.
48, there we go. I got the slogan, kinda, right.
Out drinking your state since 1848.
There we go.
Here's another one. This is kind of a twofer. Do you know the name of the statue on top of the Capitol in Madison?
No clue.
Forward.
Forward, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know where she's pointing?
Up?
Ish. DC, Washington, DC.
Oh, wow. I never knew that.
Well,
I might fail this test.
You might, actually. I'm not sure what type of curve scale we need to go on here, but we're currently 0 for 2. What year did the Brewers start?
Oh my gosh, you're history buffing me right now. No clue.
Good, 1970.
I'm trying, I promise.
Okay, question 4. Only 2 left, I promise.
Are we gonna keep going back like 100 years?
Spell Oconomowoc.
O-C-O-N-O-M-O. Where am I? O-C-O-N-O-M-O-W-O-C.
Killed it.
There we go.
Nice.
Yep.
Got it.
I got one.
And this is more of a jab at Minnesota than anything, but any idea how many lakes are in Wisconsin?
Over 10,000.
Definitely over 10,000. Eat your heart out, Minnesota. 15,074 lakes.
Okay.
Do you see that on our license plate? No. No. America's Dairyland.
Yeah, we're actually doing a shirt that says, all it is we have more lakes than Minnesota. It's literally the shirt.
Maybe just put on here like 15,000 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm 1 for 5. That's great.
I think that's a fail.
No, I failed. I
It's,
failed. It's okay. I'll be better.
I think you might.
Yeah.
You have.
I thought you were going to ask me some like sports, like this player threw for this many yards.
Nah. I'm not an X's and O's, guys.
See, I'm better at that stuff than.
Yeah. My co-host John Anderson has that part covered for us.
Sure.
Not so much me.
Yeah.
Honestly, you probably did better in this quiz than I do on some of my own stuff on my own show.
Actually, how would I pull up a word and I see if you know how to pronounce it?
Pronounce it?
Yeah.
All right.
How do you say that word?
Schwamigan.
Okay.
I was actually going to ask you to spell that earlier, but Schwamigan Nicolet National Forest.
Yeah. Okay.
We were just up there.
So
the
you're
other
1 for
day in
1.
Hayward.
I feel like we could end right there.
We probably should. Corey, thank you.
Yeah,
Really appreciate it, man. Thanks
Yeah.
for the tour. Thanks
Absolutely.
for what you do for the state, what you're doing for your hometown. These are the type of stories we want to feature, is people making a difference, whether it's since the 1800s and making cheese like the most recent one that we did with Carr Valley, or somebody like yourself who has deep roots in the community, but also like your roots are established. You know what I mean? You're not going anywhere.
Nope.
And I think that that's a really cool piece of who we are in the state.
And I appreciate you guys all for coming down here. Is that your girlfriend?
No. Whoopsies. Are there more bars than churches? That's important.
There's actually more bars than, believe it or not, stop signs. So.
You own the bar by yourself?
No, I co-own it.
With who?
With one of my buddies.
There's things that you don't do in life, Corey. You don't talk about politics in the bar. You definitely don't talk about religion in the bar. There's a third that you don't talk about in the bar. And there's a fourth that overarches that. And it says, don't buy a bar with your buddy. What was that?
A diesel truck, which in small town Wisconsin, you see those a lot.
I thought it was a Harley. I'm like, you guys are crazy down
No,
here.
and that's just how small of a town we are. I know exactly who that is.
Of course you do. There's
Yeah.
a chance you're related. Let's be completely honest.
I mean, just knowing now, you do have a voice, like for talking.
Yeah, thank you. I think.
Yeah, like when at one point in your life did you know, like, this is what I got to do?
16.
16, you knew?
I got my first job in radio when I was 16.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that story later.
Yeah, but awesome.
Wisconsin Fit Check. We hope you enjoyed this rendition of Deeper Roots with our friends at Blaine's Farm and Fleet as much as we did. A shout out to our main man, Corey Kaiser. Thanks for having us out and sharing a little slice of paradise there in Keeler, Wisconsin with us. Lots of fun. If some of the clothes you saw in the episode caught your eye, make sure to head to wisconsinclothingco.com and shop around. And be sure to follow along on social as well. Wisconsin culture at its best. You'll love all the great content that Corey is pumping out. Speaking of great content, pun intended, we're looking for our next Deeper Roots guest. So nominate a friend, a family member, or even yourself by heading to our website and filling out the form at farmandfleet.com/deeperroots. Don't forget to like and comment below. Smash that YouTube subscribe button if you're watching there. And of course, if you're listening to the podcast, feel free to leave us a 5-star review. As you were, Wisconsin, we'll see you next time.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Wisconsin Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube. Leave a review. Smash the like button. Just get with us.